Hi. It's QC. It's Thursday. It's like 9:30. 4 here. It's a little bit the 11th hour, but not as much the 11th hour as last week when I went live because I literally just did not have time all week. And I was like, whatever, we'll just do it. Chapter 25. Also, if I ever decide to do this kind of thing again, be like, don't, Donica. It's not worth it. 3 people will watch, and it will be nothing but you going, oh yeah, that's a really good idea. I can get really far ahead of it, and only to be hitting there every single Thursday night going, oh crap, I haven't recorded this week. So, it's fine. Chapter 25, Sunday, December 30th. We're coming to the end. December 30/08. Brunch at Emma's grandma's. Seems like I'm here a lot lately. In other news, Henry came. I'm not going to lie. I was skeptical of the whole call a mermaid thing. Mostly I figured I'd have to try several times before I got it right, but it worked the first time and he came. There we were today, training on the beach, aka Emma and Nikki took turns chucking a pot full of water at me to see if I could stop it. And this dude walks out of the ocean like something out of a freaking Baywatch trailer. He can't be much more older than I am. He walks up to me, asks if I'm Nellie, which of course I said I was, and he turns out to be Uncle Henry. It's weird he wasn't naked. I mean, it definitely would have been super weird if he was, and way more awkward. But I just mean, changing into a mermaid has always shredded my bikini bottoms unless I'm super careful. But this dude just walked out of the water, topless, granted, but he had on a pair of shorts. They looked like regular board shorts, but I can pretty much guarantee he didn't buy those puppies from any surf store I know of, and I know them all. I'll have to ask about those. Anyway, all he says to me is, "Are you Nellie?" and "Go to Madame Ortega's house. I'll see you in half an hour." Seriously? I have so many questions. Nellie was perched on the edge of one of Ethel's couches. Nerves flooded through her, making it hard for her to relax. Logically, she knew she should focus on the immediate problem. Training to stop the tsunami. But her mind raced. Would Henry know about her mother's death? Would he know what had made her sick? Was there a cure? A mermaid cure? If there was, why didn't he bring it? Why did it take so long why did he take so long to come? She'd called him yesterday. Who else was still around from Melinda's family? Did Nellie have grandparents she had never met, but now might receive the opportunity to see? Were there more merfolk, or were they it? Was she the last mermaid? As her mind spiraled, her stomach churned. Ethel put a hand on Nellie's shoulder, startling her. "Sorry, dear," Ethel said softly. "Would you like some tea?" A lifetime of helping people gave her the skill to read fears, misgivings, and curiosities shining on Nellie's face. "No, thanks," Nellie said quickly. "It might settle your nerves," Ethel suggested. On second thought, Nellie half smiled. "Tea would be great, thanks." Ethel nodded and left to prepare the tea. "Nervous?" Nikki asked, sitting next to Nellie on the couch. Nikki leaned back, clearly comfortable, making herself at home in Ethel's house. "I'm about to talk to someone who is just like me, related to me, and I barely met him 3 minutes ago," Nellie said. "Been there," Nikki said, smiling. When Nellie looked confused, Nikki added, "My grandma." "What's the deal with your grandma anyway?" Nellie asked. "Well, for starters, I had always been told she was dead. Like that she died when I was really young," Nikki explained. "I never wondered about it because old people die." She shrugged. "Was it scary meeting her for the first time?" Nellie asked, glad of something to keep her mind occupied. "Not really," Nikki said, "but I also had no idea I was meeting her." "This is a good one," Emma said, sitting cross-legged on the couch across from the other two. Raising an eyebrow, Nellie looked at Nikki. Nikki grinned and explained, "She literally just showed up in my kitchen one day. Well, I assume she came through the door, but with her, who knows? She totally could have poofed into the kitchen. My mom lost it big time." Nikki told the whole story of meeting Kate for the first time while Ethel brought the girls tea and cookies. "Anyway," Nikki finished, "my mom wanted me to explain, which I couldn't because I had no idea who Grandma was. It was a trip." "How did she even find you?" Nellie asked, sipping on her tea. Nikki huffed. "Who knows? I wrote I wanted help in my journal, and apparently that summoned her." That's nuts," Nellie said. There was a kind of knock at the door, and Nellie jumped. jumped up. Do you think that's him? She whispered to no one in particular. Nikki shrugged while Emma said, answer the door and find out. Right. Nellie stood, shaking her head, hoping to clear her thoughts. She opened the door. It was him. It was Henry. This time he was wearing a shirt as well as shorts. If Nellie hadn't known he was magical, she would have thought he was a surf bum like she was. Except he was a solid 1.5 feet taller. Between his tan skin and sun-kissed hair, he'd fit right in at the local lineup. Until he turned into a fish. Look, buddy, Nellie said, still holding the open door. Her small stature in no way inhibited her ability to take up space. I have a lot of questions for you about my mom, about mermaids, about where you've been. Sure, Henry said. Can I at least come in? His calmness disarmed Nellie. Yeah. Okay, she said, moving aside so he could come in. Henry, Ethel said, walking up and giving him a hug. You always wait too long between visits, dear. I know, Ethel, he said. I'm sorry. Time passes differently in the ocean. It's hard to keep track of what's going on up here. Ethel tutted him, but laughed. I see you've met your niece. Under her breath she added, just as much of a fireball as you are. Well, douse that, he said with a smile. Ethel smirked as though she knew Henry was just as feisty now as he had been at the ripe old age of 4 when she had first met him. How do you two know each other? Nikki asked, the question everyone was thinking. All the old families go back, Ethel said, simply as if this explained everything. Could you have saved my mom? Nellie asked. The question bubbled out of her before she could stop it. No, Henry said sadly. He shook his head a little and added, only Mel could have saved herself. I don't know why she didn't, but I wish she had. Nellie could see the pain of losing his sister etched on Henry's face, but she pressed him anyway. What do you mean? How could she have saved herself? He smiled half-heartedly. Part fish, he almost whispered. Henry cleared his throat. We need water. Melinda stayed out too long. It made her sick. Nellie's brain stumbled over itself trying to understand. But why? I don't know, Henry said again. Is that all you needed to know about your mom? He shook one of his legs like a runner does before a sprint. Can we at least sit? It's been a while since I put weight on my legs. Nellie didn't say anything. She sat on the couch next to Emma. Ethel sat in a love seat, leaving Henry to sit on the couch next to Nikki. Nellie stared at him for a minute, chewing her lip. She wanted more answers, but either Henry was lying to her or he genuinely didn't know. Nellie could somehow sense he wasn't lying. No, she said finally. I have more questions. Like, why did we have to meet here? I asked you to meet me here because I don't like being out in the open around humans. Henry folded his arms and leaned back on the couch. I know I look human, he added, seeing the bewilderment on Nikki's face, but as you know, witch, looks can be deceiving. But Nikki started, how did you... Magical creatures can sense each other. My guess is that you haven't had your magic long enough to notice just yet, but give it time. You will, Henry said. He smiled, which made his dark blue eyes dance. Nikki's stomach flopped, and she cleared her throat, quickly turning her attention to the very suddenly interesting Afghan rug. Pulling a throw pillow onto her lap, she hugged it tightly to her chest and crossed her arms. Actually, Nellie said after a moment, sorry, I think we're done. Actually, Nellie said after a moment. Henry looked back at Nellie. I do have more questions about my mom. Henry sighed. I don't have answers about Mel, and if you're just going to keep rehashing the past, I've got stuff I've got to do. He unfolded his arms and put his hands on his knees, ready to stand. Nellie, Emma said, warning in her tone. Apparently I lied. I have more sneezes. Nellie groaned and closed her eyes. Can you teach me? Teach you what? Henry asked, resting back into the couch. Teach me about being a mermaid, Nellie said, looking at him. Can you be my mentor? You want to be a mermaid? Henry leaned forward again. Is there a way for me to stop being a mermaid? Nellie asked, the dream of surfing flickering at the back of her mind. No, Henry said. The flicker faded. But you don't have to embrace it either, he added. Would I die? Nellie asked. Like my mom? You've probably got enough human in you to live the lifespan of a normal human if you stayed out of the water. Nellie shook her head. I don't want to stay out. Besides, I'm going to use my power to help people. There's a tidal wave coming and we need to stop it. When? Henry asked, shooting a skeptical glance at Ethel. Emma has seen it, Ethel said. It will happen within the next 2 days. Henry barked out a laugh. You want me to teach you to stop a tidal wave in 2 days? He looked around the room like he was expecting them to burst out laughing at the obvious joke. Yes, Nellie said, her jaw set. Henry sighed and stood up. Well, don't sweat it. Your tidal wave isn't coming, he said, walking toward the door. It is, Nikki said, turning to look at him. I've seen it, too. I don't get any psychic from you, witch, Henry said, watching her. You shouldn't, Nikki said. She thought it was odd, the way he called her witch. It wasn't an insult, just a name, like she sometimes called Cam Bud. She sat up straighter. I mean, I'm not psychic. It was a shared vision, Nikki explained. She didn't like the way he looked at her, as if he was seeing her, all of her. It made her feel exposed. She turned back around, pulling the end of her braid over her left shoulder so that it rested on the pillow. I have seen it, Emma stood, and it is coming. You don't have to be my permanent mentor, Nellie said suddenly. I don't even know if I want you anyway. But I don't have time to hunt down another long-lost relative. Just teach me enough to keep me alive. Please? Henry, Ethel said gently, you know Melinda always planned for you to be Nellie's mentor. Well, Mel had a lot of plans. Henry ran a hand through his hair. Fine. I'll teach you what I can about how to stop a tidal wave, but you've got to know I can't promise you guys will live through this thing. He shook his head, adding, if it even comes. Thank you, Ethel said. Meet me at the cove tomorrow, Henry said. 6 a.m. sharp. I'll be there, Nellie said. You guys be there too. He pointed back and forth at Nikki and Emma. We will, Emma said as Nikki turned back around, meeting his eyes and nodding. Henry held Nikki's gaze for a moment and looked at Nellie. Tomorrow, he said, and left. The door clicked closed behind him. So, Nellie said, standing. I guess I kind of have a temporary mentor. It would seem so, Ethel said. Stay here. She disappeared into a back room. We'll be leaving after this, Nikki said, standing up. What? Nellie asked. She's getting your books, Emma said. More books? Nellie said. She'd barely cracked open the last pile. Emma nodded. You're going to want to go home and spend as much time reading the ones she gives you as you can, especially since we have to go to bed early tonight to be at the cove by 6 tomorrow morning. Emma wasn't wrong. Ethel came back with an armful of books, handing the lot to Nellie. They had titles like A Guide to Mermaids, Mermaid, Fact or Fiction, and Sea or Sea, a handbook of mer culture for beginners. The top book had the most important information Nellie would need, and the bottom books, while she should read them, would be less of a tragedy if she learned the information later rather than sooner. December 30th, 2008. I met a mermaid today. Merman? I meant to ask, but I forgot. Anyway, he seems like an interesting guy. Henry, that's his name. I don't think he knows mine. He just calls me witch. But not like in a mean way. More like in a... She crossed that up. Nikki shook her head. Stick to the topic. He doesn't need to know my name. It doesn't matter. Tomorrow Emma and I are meeting him and Nellie at the cove to help Nellie train. I'm not sure what we'll be able to do, and we'll be able to do anything other than offer access to our powers, but whatever we can do to help, we're willing. I've been looking for the prophecy Dad told me about. Still no luck. I'll keep at it tonight for a bit, and then bed. 6 a.m. is going to come quick. Nikki got out her spellbook and a record of prophecies made by the High Priestess the First, Adelina Vates. She had only made it a quarter of the way through the book. It was a thick book made of thin pages filled with tiny text. Nikki knew in her heart if she had been required to read the book, it would have been a chore. But since she was curious about the prophecy apparently made about her, searching through the book was an adventure. She flipped to the back of her spellbook. She had been using the last third of the book for note-taking on prophecies. Nikki had written down the page numbers of prophecies she thought might be about her, then copied the prophecy down. She studied them all together after she finished the books of prophecy. Oh, she'd study them all together after she finished the book's prophecy. She flipped to the page where she had left off and reread her last entry. Page 34, AV number 2243. A broken line, a stretch in time, a fragment of blood, a stained glove. Most of these were complete nonsense to her, but she thought the broken line thing might be a reference to her breaking the line of pure blood witches. Nikki stretched, and knowing it would be a very long night, kept reading. 30 December 2008. Exhausted. Met a merman. Help Nellie. Too tired to write. Update tomorrow. Maybe. Emma crawled into her bed with full intentions of falling asleep immediately. As her eyes started to glow, blurring as they lost focus, as her eyes started to close, blurring as they lost focus, the all too familiar glow of a person between realms appeared. Emma sighed, debating between falling asleep or dealing with the dead. Now, knowing her duties, she sat up, squinting. "Hello," Emma said, failing to stifle a yawn. "Emma," the woman said. Emma rubbed her eyes, trying to see the woman more clearly. "Do I know you?" "Not formally," the woman said. She was a cloud barely gray enough for rain. Her image slowly grew more defined. "A man kidnapped me for my gift, but when I could not give him what he wanted, he disposed of me. I knew, when I realized what had happened, I knew I needed to see you. I needed to warn you. You'll be next." "What?" Emma pulled her sheets off and stood up fully awake now. "What gift? Are you also a medium?" The woman shook her head. "Psychic. He wants us all. He's collecting the powerful, but you were hidden from him. Your mother—" "My mother wasn't magical," Emma said quickly, taking a step toward the woman. "No," the woman said softly, "but Amy knew the right people. Good people." "Did you know her?" "By reputation only," the woman said sadly. "But listen, please." She spoke quickly, urgently. "Your mother hid you, but then you came of age. The magics hiding you have dispersed. He knows your face. He's coming for the earth. He's coming for you. He is coming." The woman began to fade. "Wait, no," Emma shouted. Who are you? Please, who is he? Why does he want me? Come back!" But the woman was already gone. That's the end of chapter 25. Will they figure out what's going on? Will they stop the tidal wave? Will this be the end of the series? That'd be actually kind of a silly idea. I'm writing a series, and then they all die in book 1. And then, I publish book 2, but it's actually just a bunch of blank pages. That'd be kind of funny.